As I lie down for my long winter's nap, there have been some things in wrestling that sure have been crap. Now, I'm not usually one who gets in a fit, but some things this year just gave me the shits. This is Extreme League Wrestling, and here is the worst of wrestling for 2023. WWE advertisements. When it comes to Vince McMahon, I begrudgingly say that there's actually one thing that we are in agreement on. And no, it is not the incessant horror that is Gangnam Style. We both personally like a ring to look as clean as possible, free from advertisements and decals, companies and brands. To show how sacred a wrestling ring truly is, this sport that people have had life-altering moments in. And look, I understand at the end of the day, wrestling is a business. Hell, if I had employees to pay who had families to provide for, I too would slap a DraftKings logo on wherever and whatever they wanted. Hell, even this pretty little forehead. At some point though, it just gets a bit outrageous for my taste. Look at prime example number 1, WrestleMania 39. The Intercontinental 3-Way was a meaty man slapping meat, hype, hard hitting match, featuring 3 of the hardest hitting bastards this side of the Atlantic. Now, watch the highlights for this match of the year contender for some people through these piss-colored Mike's Hard lemonade cans. Or even take the long-term family infighting storyline between Rey and Dominic Mysterio, a match that many people wanted to see sweet child abuse happen in. Not to also mention this father versus son bout happening on the heels of Rey being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. It just all feels a bit undercut by the Cinnamon Toast Crunch Lucha thing staring right into my soul with its cold dead eyes. There can be a happy medium for this, and sure, make your money. Just stop reminding me during WrestleMania that it's also during tax season, damn it! Vince McMahon. Now, believe it or not, in 2023, Vince McMahon didn't actively harm anything in the world of wrestling. Hooray for him! While sure, he took back control of WWE in order to negotiate the TV rights, insert film noir doubt meme here, while trying to take control of the company he founded and was promptly ousted from the year prior, his role is now basically the young cousin with the unplugged controller. But I would be remiss not to include him, because f*** this guy. The formation of the TKO group still led to a lot of people getting fired and laid off, and the scare of him coming back into creative control still actively haunts my dreams. Did I also forget to mention this greedy f***er also ousted his own daughter from the company? He horribly failed at his goal, but then somehow ended up on top. Capitalism, you fickle bitch. Adam Cole's injury. Normally I like these entries to have a bit more laughter so we can all laugh in the abyss that we call existence, but this one just bums me the fuck out. Better Than You Bebe was one of the greatest stories that AEW had ever told up to that point, and then it just had to come to a full stop. It was a thrilling treat to be able to see it continued at All In, but then Grand Slam happened. For the love of God, Tony, stop using the fucking elevated ramp! While the Devil storyline has added a new layer to everything, and I'm sure it will work out in the end, seeing these brochachos for life every Wednesday truly warmed my frozen heart. Now my heart just feels like a pack of frozen hot dogs some burnt out wife left in the sink for her drunk husband. Oh, homie. AEW backstage drama. Hey, 2022, you left some of your shit here. Don't get me wrong, I don't think the Punk story in AEW is completely black and white, but holy shit, how do you not expect him to get fired? Regardless of what Jack Perry said, you just can't do that shit in a workplace. Can we also talk about the fever dream that has come of this to where CM Punk is back in WWE? Tony Khan is like every other wrestling booker. No one bats 1,000. AEW just did $80K in Wembley, they're doing fine. Sure, WWE is sniffing around Warner. You know why? Because they're competition. Remember who's leading up these network negotiations? The f***ing cartoon villain I was talking about earlier? Entertainment, pro wrestling or otherwise, is a ruthless business, so why wouldn't WWE try to knock off AEW from their own network? I'm not here to say leave AEW alone, but more just like I'm getting tired of saying CM Punk and AEW in the same sentence. I'm just trying to move on. Cody Rhodes' never-ending story. Y'all really traded Cody finishing the story for Roman to do a damn victory lap. Listen, did the Bloodline story need the title per se? No. Sure, add more days to his reign, I'm all for it, but after he gets pinned by the Usos, legitimately, where do you go from there? If Roman didn't have the title, you could have just pinned him at SummerSlam and then, I don't know, had him come back around WrestleMania 40, when he normally comes back with the damn belt anyway. This entire year has truly just felt like the Bloodline and the Tribal Chief have been sleepwalking their way to WrestleMania 40. Regardless, it's not like Cody had a bad year, but 2023 sure as hell felt like an anime filler episode. The matches with Brock were great, even though they really showed no clear purpose, and War Games was fun, not to also mention the forgettable tag title win that I legitimately forgot to put in the script and am now just remembering. Yeet, am I right, children? As someone who has truly started following Cody Rhodes since he first left WWE, went into ROH, went on to Independence, and then founded AEW, I'm just ready for him to hold the top prize already. The Tribal Chief story. And you bet your ass I'm not finished with you! I'm beating the dead horse at this point, but I really do feel like Roman Reigns has just been rinsing and repeating the same match while also having some of the best matches of the year still. Since SummerSlam, what have we legitimately gotten from this story? What? The Usos are gonna feud at WrestleMania 40, and Cody is eventually gonna topple Roman? Sure, the LA Knight feud and I'm sure the Randy Orton feud are going to be entertaining. I'm not saying that to discredit them. This story is just ice freaking cold at this point. Let's also not forget, a year ago is when it hit its ultra climax with Sami and Roman at Elimination Chamber and the Usos versus Sami and KO at WrestleMania. Hell, both of these matches top my list for this year. It really just feels like we're getting stuck in the yada yada of it all. While this is a criticism of WWE, at the same time, if you've been watching weekly television, you barely notice that this is a problem. The WWE product has never been hotter. Also, CM Punk is on the damn payroll again. While I'm just some wrestling nerd on the internet, and my opinion truly never matters, I just wish the top guy in WWE had a little bit more time and a little bit more energy put into his stories until we get to the next part. Who knows, maybe I'm just chasing the same high from WrestleMania. The state of NWA. No shame for anyone working for Mr. Pumpkin Billy over here, but what the f is happening? From putting talent through tests of loyalty, whatever the hell that means, to throwing a booger sugar white girl party on an episode of Power. The latter, by the way, was happening in the middle of negotiating television rights with the CW. I am just utterly befuddled and confused on what this company is anymore. NWA a few years ago was exciting because it was a throwback program to the days of studio wrestling. And while yes, we all look upon that era fondly, it kinda ages like milk. Not to also mention putting the 10 pounds of gold on the fucking Funkasaurus? Look, take Tyrus's political views out of this for any reason that might pop into your head. I am just brutally offended with the way this man wrestles in a ring. You would think he would hit the ropes at least with a little bit of caring. Sir, show some respect to yourself and your colleagues who have given your life to this thing. Sure, enjoy that ego trip of bringing your big wrestling belt onto the Fox News network, but show up to work and actually give a shit. For example, I find Logan Paul pretty grating, but you know what? He's pretty great at this whole wrestling thing. I don't care for the guy, but he's a pretty good wrestler and puts on pretty awesome matches. Again, I have never taken a bump a day in my life, but I can tell you this, there needs to be a bare level of respect for the business to be involved in it, and when you don't even want to show up, it pisses me the hell off. Billy, for the love of God, pull your head out of your ass. The passing of Jay Briscoe and Bray Wyatt. The entry and the exit of this particular section is probably going to be the biggest whiplash I've ever made on this channel. We joke a lot in the wrestling community and talk about ratings and booking choices and criticisms of the product, etc. Not too many things can bring this world together unanimously, and unfortunately we saw that togetherness seen with the extremely untimely passings of Jay Briscoe and Bray Wyatt. The two were extremely respected as not only professional wrestlers, but as humans, and after their passings and the testimonials we saw from their colleagues, it's not hard to see why. While the two were experts at their craft, they were more importantly fathers, husbands, brothers, sons, and nephews. Not a single person had a bad word to say about either men, which is understandable after death, but in this age and how people love to remind you of people's mistakes, these were nearly non-existent for Wyndham and Jay. I mean, if you want to count anything, there was the whole Warner thing with Jay's tribute show, if that. And while we miss these professional wrestlers, it's a harsh reminder that life is too short, and we should all be thankful for the time we have and the people we have it with. And with that being said, back to the poo-poo pee-pee jokes. CM Punk? You see, Punk isn't really on this list for anything that he directly did, more so the negativity and discourse around his name. CM Punk to many people was the punk rock voice in wrestling, literally the voice of the voiceless. Now, him returning to WWE, in context, actually makes a lot of sense. He and AEW were kind of a bad fit in hindsight once you learned about how each party operates. Punk re-entering wrestling after 7 years was going to always have an adjustment period. When CM Punk is between the ropes, he is truly one of the most captivating wrestlers known to man. But remember, the whole issue he had with WWE wasn't necessarily what happened in between the ropes, a lot of it was backstage. And while sure, the backstage does affect what happens in between the ring, a lot of his issues with WWE had to do with the medical staff, backstage treatment of wrestlers, and also communication. CM Punk has every right to have a full understanding of where he is in the world of professional wrestling, but AEW was not in a place as an organization for Punk to thrive. AEW is still young in the sense of professional wrestling, and no one has truly been in their position as long in this industry as Vince McMahon era WWE. So mistakes are gonna happen. With all fairness to Phil Brooks, needing help from locals in order to get to where he needed to go around London when someone needed to pick him up at the airport is pretty unprofessional and probably didn't set a great tone for his time there. I say this as a huge fan of CM Punk. I think both parties want to move on, and so do I. I want to see what stories CM Punk can tell in WWE, and I'm tired of talking about Phil Brooks. I just want to shut up and watch wrestling. And finally, tribalism. I in fact woke up and chose violence today. The competition in pro wrestling has been great. Wrestling has been hotter than it has been in nearly 30 years, but for the love of God, stop dick riding. Triple H, Tony Khan, and the freaking hot sauce guy don't care about you getting on Twitter or X or whatever hellscape it is now and arguing and defending their product's honor. You can like what you like and criticize what you don't, but some of you need to go touch grass. You know it's bad when even talent has to come out on media press conferences and tell people to chill out. Look, I have a lot of wonderful friends in the IWC and in Wrestle Talk. They are some of the nicest, most honest, smart, kind individuals I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, and I'm proud to call them my friends. But for everything that is holy, some of y'all have Facebook dad ranting wraparound sunglasses sitting in his truck talking about why's Bud Light gay now energy. Congrats, your wrestling opinion is right. You won. You've seen every WrestleMania, you've even seen the Hulk Hogan sex tape. I don't care. Y'all know you're supposed to enjoy this, right? I'm praying to every known and unknown god in existence. Please let 2024 be better, let the devil storyline work out, give Punk his WrestleMania main event, let Cody finish his story, and everyone shut up and watch wrestling! Well, that's everything I hated about 2023 in wrestling. Agree, disagree, yell at me in the comments, suplex the subscribe button, hit the like button, maybe share it with a friend. I got other videos that aren't like me screaming into a microphone for almost 13 or 14 minutes. You can hit them here in the end card. This has been Extreme League Wrestling, and I'll catch you next